Hey guys, this is Gregory Bennett. Today I want to talk about um, using other people's money to build your wealth. As real estate investors, we want to hold on to as much cash as we can and use other people, much of our own cash as we can, and use other people's money to build our wealth. And so today I really primarily want to talk about the use of private lenders and how private lenders can help us. Um, we know that we're either flipping properties or buying and holding properties, and we need money to do that. In order to do multiple deals, multiple properties, eventually we're going to run out of money. And so the most experienced investors, they find ways to raise money to do the financing for their projects. And so I'll be talking about that today. We want to be able to scale our businesses and to do multiple deals at the same time. And so part of the question is, what do we use our money for? And the answer is gap funding or bridge financing. And so what gap funding is let's say that we get a traditional loan or even a hard money loan. We still may need money for like closing costs or getting the first draw started and on a deal or money for the first draw on a deal. In case in point, I purchased a property in Washington, D.C. not too long ago, and I used a hard money lender to finance the whole deal. So a hard money lender financed the whole deal, the acquisition and the rehab. I still needed money for closing costs. I still needed the money for the first draw because the hard money lender wasn't going to give me any money until the work in the first draw started. I wanted to do that deal using none of my own money. So I was able to go to a private lender, and they put up that gap, that money for closing costs. They put the money to get me started, get me through my first draw until I could get the money back from my first draw. And so for those reasons, we need to raise money. And so we know that like wholesaling real estate, where we find a property, assign a contract, we're using other people's money for that. We're not putting up any of our own money. But for buying and holding real estate and fixing and flipping real estate, we oftentimes use other people's money. And so the type of financing that we traditionally use is cash. You can pay cash for properties. The downside about paying cash is it's risky using your own money. If something goes wrong with the deal, then that's all of your money. Also, and somebody approached me or asked me this same question a couple of days ago at our Q&A. Should I use private money or should I use my own money on the deal? And I said, you want to use private money because if you use your own money, all of your money is actually tied up in that deal. It's tied up in the deal. We want to use other people's money. And so we use hard money, we use conventional banks, and we use private money. A private lender, the difference between a private lender and a hard money lender is a hard money lender they was once a private lender, and then they just basically turned that private lending into a real business. A private lender is somebody that you might know, somebody in your family, someone that has a 401k, solo 401k, money from savings, any other type of retirement. Is generally people that you know, family, friends, colleagues, people like that want to lend you money so that they can get a better return on investment. Now, the return on investment, I generally offer somewhere, depending on where the market is, somewhere between 8% and as high as 12% on an annualized basis. And so if it's 12%, meaning if they keep the property if you keep their money for 6 months, you're only giving them 6%. And so it's annualized, that 12%. But on average, we generally pay out about 10%, which is a whole lot better than them keeping their money in a savings account, which you'll be surprised how many people keep their money in a savings account where they're getting less than 1% on their money. A CD, they're getting 1 or 2%. Even the stock market is not delivering 10%. And so you have a lot of people that are willing to lend money on real estate deals because it's short term, generally no more than a year, and they're going to get a better return on investment. But for you, you don't have to get another loan to fill in the gaps. You let someone else fill in the gaps, or you just use other people's money to build that wealth. It's also a quicker turnaround for the people who are lending you money. It's a quick turnaround. It's not liquid. It can be liquid, but it's really not liquid because their money is tied up for as long as a year. Again, who are the private lenders? The private lenders are family, friends, associates, other investors, accredited investors. All of those people are the private lenders. And so as a private lender, when seeking private lenders, and a lot of my coaching students ask me, what you really want to do is put together a package. You want to identify the people that you know that could lend you money as low as $10,000, as high as say 100 or more. Some people will lend, they'll finance the whole deal, and some was just the gap. Let's say you have a $20,000 gap that you need for money for a project. They'll lend that. And so then the question is, what do you need? What do you need to provide them? You want to create a presentation for them. Number one, you want to give them the address and pictures of the property. You want to show them the comparables. You want to give them a scope of work, sort of a narrative of the renovation project. Houses right now is 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. After renovation, it's going to be 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. And so you want to give them a narrative, what we call a scope of work. I give them a draw schedule. And so I've already worked out a draw schedule with the lender. I generally break my draws down into 3 draws. And so I give the draw schedule to my private lenders. I show them comps, the after repair value. I give them the as-is value, but then I show them pictures of properties that have recently sold in the area and what they sold for. So they have a sense of, what I'm buying it for and what I will be able to sell the property for. I try to establish credibility. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, but what you're going to have to do is, show some type of credibility. If you've never borrowed money from a lender, or if you haven't done a lot of properties, renovated a lot of properties, then you go on the credibility of someone else. But for the most part, a private lender is going to want to know that you've got what we call past performance, that you've been on a project. If not, then you pull in a partner and you go on their credibility. I like to show them that I've got insurance, like hazard insurance, title insurance on a project. I even let them know how much money I'll be making on that project. And then I always also like to take them to the project. I want to take them to the project to show them what it's all about. And I invite them to come out to the project anytime. The reason I do that is because I want them to keep lending me money. The more money I can borrow, the more projects that I will be able to do at the same time. And then the more money I'm going to make. And to be honest, I've paid up to 20% sometimes on someone that I know has the wherewithal to do multiple projects. But I generally keep it around 10%. So I give them a 10% return on their money. I also give them an idea of who might be buying the property. Could be a first-time home buyer market. I talk to them about the type of financing that one might get for when they're going to buy the particular property. And so I put together a full package to give to them, and also obviously willing to answer all the questions that they may have for the project. And so private lending, you guys, is something that if you're serious about buying and holding real estate or fixing and flipping real estate, is something that I want you to start thinking about. How can you get more money? Now, we often talk about creative financing, which definitely plays a role in this as well, because the homeowner can actually be your lender, where you're using the house or the equity in the house or the seller to help finance the property. And so we have different creative financing strategies where you're using the seller to help finance the property, so you don't have to go out or you don't have to use your own money. And so we use owner financing, where they'll be either the first or second lender on the project, on the property, subject to, where we're buying the property subject to the existing mortgage. So we're keeping their mortgage on the property, and then fixing the property up, and then selling that. And then, we work out an agreement where they might get the first $10,000. They'll get maybe $10,000 as an example of one I recently did. When they signed the subject to contract with me, I gave them $10,000 deposit. And then once I renovated the property, put it on the market, I gave them another $10,000 for coming to settlement, because the house is still in their name. The mortgage is still in their name. I put a lien on the property, so they couldn't do anything with the property. And then when we sold the property, I just released the lien. They made $20,000. I made $70,000. But the good part of that is I didn't have to go out and get a mortgage. We used their mortgage. So that's a subject too. We use lease options. We do joint ventures. And so wherever we can, we try to use other people's money. I do joint ventures all the time. I also do them with my contractors and other people. Contractors is perfect because they're putting up the money for all the rehab. I don't have to put up the money. They actually put up the money for the rehab, a contractor. And then you split the profits in the end, less the cost of the expenses, even though they're putting up that money. And so you want to start thinking creatively on how you can finance properties, even buy and holds, where you're using little to none of your own money, but you're building wealth with other people's money, be it a hard money lender, be it a private lender, a traditional lender, creative financing strategies, wherever you can. And so when I find a property, that's the first thing I think about is who can help me finance this property, and how can I get away with buying this property using none of my own money? And so I try to creatively think as a first option, should I bring in a private lender on this project, or should I use some creative financing strategies? I offer all of those options, but if everything fails, then my go-to is, my go-to generally is, to be honest with you, either a line of credit or a hard money lender. And then I'll fill in the gaps with a private lender. And then once I either sell the property or refinance the property, if I'm going to hold it, I pay back the private lender and I pay back the hard money lender. Now I've got this asset that I'm renting out at a positive cash flow that I will have hopefully for the next 20, 30 years, pass those houses down, or that house down to my daughter. She passed it down to my grandchildren. And I put little to none of my own money into the deal. But I'm getting that cash flow. and then obviously it's growing in equity through appreciation and principal buy down. And so those are some of the things that I want you guys to start thinking about when you want to do multiple projects in real estate and really scale your business so that you can retire financially free. You can retire a lot sooner than you thought. You can build generational wealth and really leave a legacy for your children and your children's children. So look, you guys, I know that was fast, only 15 minutes. You guys can DM me with any questions about using other people's money or private lending. You can DM me at Greg Bennett Invest. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Wealth Building with Gregory Bennett. All right, you guys, thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed. Hopefully this was beneficial. Take care. God bless.